Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the Hare Krishna Project podcast. This is episode number 136. A big thank you to everyone who tunes in on a regular basis, now from all over the world. I appreciate our ever-growing global audience. Do not forget, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you haven't already, to hit the subscribe button, or if you're watching this on Facebook, to like or follow the Hare Krishna Project Facebook page. That's the other way you can keep updated about what we're doing here at the Hare Krishna Project. Now, as you know, over the last 3.5 years, I've really loved and appreciated interviewing a wide range of guests. I still get surprised by the guests that I get on this podcast. I am absolutely delighted to welcome our guest this week. It's Dhira Lalita. Hare Krishna. It's great to have you with us, Dhira Lalita. We've been communicating for a couple of weeks about this recording today. And in a moment, our viewers will know much more about you. So let's kick off with a nice, easy question. It's the question that every guest gets just to warm us up. Please tell us a little bit about you and where you are from.
Okay, so I am a Prabhupada disciple, both initiation, and I was born in France. Actually, I was born in Paris itself. And I spent my whole youth in close to Paris. I studied art in Paris at the École Supérieure des Arts Décoratifs de Paris. It's a very long name, you know, very pretentious. And I learned the classical style there. Totally. I mean, it was not in the American, unfortunately, the American artists got trained into the so-called modern stuff, and they missed a lot of the training. So what's interesting is that when I got to Los Angeles, because I had such a training and I was really good at it, then my first service was to teach the artists, the BBT artists, to sketch. So for a few months, I did that. We had art lessons, which is very interesting. But anyway, I just wanted to say that I'm from France, and I visited a lot of museums, and therefore I imbibed the classical style, even though I actually visited also the modern artists and everything. But I was fascinated by classical style. So that's what I'm doing with my BBT paintings.
So tell us a bit, if you're able to, tell us a bit about your upbringing. You were born and raised in Paris. I haven't been to Paris for a number of years. I was actually
raised in Maison Lafitte, which is, about half an hour from Paris or something,
Okay.
So I would take the train. It was so easy, actually. You take the train and you're right in Paris.
Well, the trains are very good in France compared to the UK. Did you have any particular kind of religious upbringing at all?
Actually, my parents were total atheists. And I was going to school, obviously, primary school. And at 8 years old, I was sitting next to a girl who was a Christian. She's, Catholic. And she talked to me about Jesus a lot. And I was only 8 years old, but I was fascinated by the idea of a soul and God. So I actually secretly joined the church a little bit, I'm just only 8 years old, and my parents are against it, So. And then I told my brothers that I believe in God and I believe in the soul. And they went, oh my God. Oh, she believes in the soul. Oh my God, she believes in God. It's terrible. So they were, like that. But I had this sense of the soul and God, the Supreme Lord. I did have that sense completely. And I actually, when I was older, I was even meditating in the impersonal way. I was trying to merge on a drop of water.
Wow.
This is all kind of stuff, You know, when you're young, you're looking and, you know.
So you kind of encountered God or
Actually, I have a very good story on that, on encountering God. I am 16 years old in France. My parents have no books on India. There is no internet. There is a few, you know, encyclopedias. That's it, right? So I'm in an environment which doesn't know Krishna at all. And I'm a writer. I'm writing a little bit. And I'm doing what you call automatic writing. So automatic writing means you go in a, you know, in a trance and you write without thinking. So I'm writing without thinking. And what do I write? I write, where are you, little blue cowed boy? I'm looking for you. Please come, please come, please come. Oh, no, not now, not now. It's not time. I love you. I love you. Like that. It's in French, of course. Blue cowed boy. So petit pâtre bleu in French. Why did I choose un petit pâtre bleu, a blue cowed boy? It could have been a purple cowed boy. It could have been a red one. It could have been, you know, a butcher. It could be, but it was a cowed boy, and it was amazing. Mm. And I wrote that poem and kept it for years, all the way to meeting Srila Prabhupada himself. And I'm only 16, and I'm only joining when I'm 23. So it's many years in between.
Wow. So you wrote this.
Starting to search for the absolute truth. I am starting to search.
So you wrote this poem at the age of 16 about a blue cowherd boy.
Yeah.
Had you at any point heard about Krishna consciousness? Or...
I didn't. Like I'm telling you, my house didn't have anything. You know, my school was not far from the American Center. Well, actually, they promoted Srila Prabhupada a little bit later, but there was more like Maharishi Yogi and all those guys in there. So, and I never went there. And, you know, I'm just scratching my head, how? And my conclusion is that, you know, it's possible. First of all, it's Krishna's mercy. And it's possible that I'm remembering something from the past life. It's possible, you know. So this poem propelled me into Krishna consciousness, actually. So it took many years, yeah.
So let's fast forward to when you were 23. How did you discover Krishna consciousness, or how did you meet the Hare Krishna devotees?
At 20.
20.
Okay. I went to Canada, to Montreal, with my boyfriend. He was an actor. He was like 20 years older than me. Yeah, just like a Jewish man, you know, and we were doing weird stuff, you know, like walking through Montreal at night, you know, just, he liked to walk through Montreal at night. And I went with him to all the libraries where I was searching for the absolute truth, you know, there. So I was reading all kind of nonsense, you know, Aurobindo and all those guys, you know, just all those, you know, I was reading all those Brampeland, and it's just like weird people who are totally impersonal, you know. And but when I was reading the Gita by Aurobindo, I was very puzzled, because he says the mother is the supreme. So I was thinking, okay, the mother is the supreme, and who is Krishna in there? What is he? You know, is he the god of war? What is he? It makes no sense at all. So I could tell that those books made no sense, actually. They didn't have what I'm looking for. So with the help of a movie, Louis Buñuel, I don't know if you know him, he's a very famous, from the 60s, Louis Buñuel. And he actually made a movie that I saw in French, La Voie lactée, but it's actually in English, it's called The Milky Way. And in it, he describes all kind of famous people, including Jesus Christ. And he shows us Jesus in a special environment with all his disciples, and he's walking around preaching. And I'm thinking, this is what I need. I need a guru who is preaching all over the world. So I had imbibed this idea of sacrifice. You have to sacrifice, you know, with all those bogus guys, you know, at least that was clear. You sacrifice, and then you will obtain, you know, some enlightenment. So I sat in front of my door. I told my boyfriend, no more walking at night. I'm just sitting in front of the door waiting for my goal. That's nuts. I know it is nuts. I'm not taking any drugs. I'm 20 years old and I'm just crazy about finding God, you know. So I'm going to sit in front of the door, and symbolically, I am not taking my money, nothing in my pockets except my ID. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm not going to eat and I'm not going to sleep until he comes through the door. And I will recognize him when he comes through the door. And I sat there for 3 days. So I'm an artist, so you understand, I am a dreamer, right? I'm not crazy, but I'm a kind of a dreamer. Okay, so what happened? 3 days later, my boyfriend walks through the door with a PTG. I open the PTG, and Srila Prabhupada is smiling at me with a beautiful garland around his neck. And because he has a garland, and I'm very naive, you know, I'm only 20, I'm thinking, oh my God, this is my guru. And on top of it, he's a poet because he's wearing a garland.
Wow.
So I went back to Paris immediately. You know, like I left my boyfriend and went back to Paris to meet Srila Prabhupada. Because from the BTG, I learned that he was possibly in Paris. The BTG was in French, you know.
So tell us a bit about your first meeting with Prabhupada. What did it feel like, and what happened?
Well, what happened is that I joined the temple. I asked a lot of questions, including, why is Krishna speaking the Bhagavad Gita on a battlefield? And of course, they couldn't answer that properly. They were telling me, you know, it's just a story. He's trying to make it interesting with, you know, some battle or something. But later on, Srila Maharaj will give the right answer. We are on the battlefield. We are fighting Maya. You know, this is what the Bhagavad Gita is. You're fighting Maya with a lot of backup, a lot of people helping you, gurus and friends, sadhu sangha. You know, you just pushed forward in fighting. You're fighting. You're not just sitting there. You're actually fighting. You're fighting your senses. You're fighting your body. You're fighting your tendency, your bad tendency. You're transforming. You're changing. You know. And then if you preach, what is preaching? It's actually fighting. You have to make your point. You can't just be a wallflower. You know. So this is what Srila Maharaj explains about the Gita. What is the Gita? You know, why is it on the battlefield? So that's the right answer. Then later on, I went to Bhagavan Das and told him, because Srila Prabhupada was coming. I told him, I want to take initiation from Srila Prabhupada. So I had been in temple only 3 months. And Bhagavan said, no, you're too young. You wouldn't understand anything. So I said, okay, I'll just wait, you know. But I was working with Yogeshwar Das in the photo room, in the black room. He was publishing photos for our publication and our magazines. So I was helping him with that. And I told him, you know, I asked for initiation and I was refused. So he went behind my back to Srila Prabhupada and change things. So I was called to see Srila Prabhupada in his room. And I had previously, before I joined, I had painted 4 of the disciplic succession portraits, the portraits of the disciplic succession. And it was, it's small, about that big, like that, And I thought, okay, I'll just bring it to Prabhupada and give it to him. So I brought it to Srila Prabhupada. I walk in the room, and there is a meeting finishing there. So the devotees are leaving, and I'm standing in the back. I'm very shy. I'm so shy. I'm so shy. And Srila Prabhupada is sitting there, and in front of him, there is a silver cup. It's not silver, but there is a silver cup with water in it. And I hand him the portraits. Once everybody's left, I hand him the portraits. And Srila Prabhupada takes it. But as he's taking it, he's actually drinking water. And the water, he doesn't touch the water, the cup to his lips. The water is flowing. And just at this moment, time stops for me. It's just like, it's amazing. It's amazing. Time just literally stops. And I can see that Srila Prabhupada is operating from a different plane. He's not operating from this plane. He's operating from a different plane. And I'm so happy. I found my guru, and he's from the spiritual world. I'm so happy about that. So Srila Prabhupada looks at the portraits, and he says, "Oh, very nice." And he turns to Yogeshwara, and he goes, "She's very qualified." And it's just because I did those portraits, I didn't know what I was doing, actually. I didn't know I was doing the right thing. But because of those portraits, Srila Prabhupada thought me qualified. And then he was very happy. And he said, "You must do big paintings for the movement." He didn't say, "Do big paintings for ISKCON." He said, "Do big paintings for the movement." So the movement is Lord Chaitanya's movement. So I did big paintings for ISKCON too. But now I'm doing big paintings for the movement, for Lord Chaitanya's movement. Okay. So it was fantastic. So he gave me that service. He kind of blessed me with that service. And I was so, so shy that I didn't want to turn my back to him when I was leaving. So I backed up 3 steps and paid my obeisances. And then I was still too far from the door. So I backed up 3 more steps and paid my obeisances. And I was still too far from the door. So I went back to the door and paid my obeisances a 3rd time. And the next day, I was called for initiation.
Wow. And can you just clarify, was this at the new Mayapur temple?
No, where was it? It was in Paris.
In Paris. And in which year was this?
1973.
1973. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. That was just fantastic to kind of hear that. I often love hearing Prabhupada disciples talking about their meetings and their encounters and their times with Prabhupada, because obviously, certainly physically, I never had that in this body anyway. And I just love to kind of hear those.
Yeah, I met him again many years later. Yeah.
Wow, 1973 in Paris. So let's talk now a bit about your artwork. Because I've had a look at your website, and it's phenomenal, and I've seen some of your paintings and your artwork, and it's just very, very inspiring. And for many decades you have been devoted and dedicated to art, and painting in particular. What is it about art that encapsulates and inspires you so much?
Well, I'm a visual. and maybe some people would be envious, but it's nothing to be envious about. It's just I close my eyes, I can see Krishna, right? Because I'm visual. Some people will hear sound because they are auditory, and some people will dance because they are, kinesthetic, something, And so I can imagine, I can see the pastimes in my head, I can, therefore, I can paint them if I have the technique, and then I can paint them. So I do that, and it's just, when I actually met Srila Prabhupada, I went to art school, yes. I made painting, yes, but I was not sure I wanted to be an artist. I was not sure. So Srila Prabhupada is the one who empowered me, actually, to do that. I have no qualities of any kind, but Srila Prabhupada, I was able, because when I was in total Maya, I was producing paintings for BBT. Who is doing the paintings? Not me. I am not doing the paintings. Srila Prabhupada is doing the paintings because he needs the paintings. Krishna is walking through us, and we have defects and we are twisted, but somehow or other, through Srila Prabhupada's power, it comes out, beautiful paintings,
Wow. And what I'm going to do with this podcast, I'm going to put a link to your website, because I would love for all the devotees to see your website, and it gives a bit of a biography about yourself and what you've provided artwork for, such as the Srimad Bhagavatam, books such as the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita.
My first painting was published in the Nectar of Devotion.
Wow.
Actually, a story about that with Srila Prabhupada, yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And other books such as you've also been published with the BBT, Mandala Media, Woman in Art,
Osai.com.
Amazing. A huge CV of where your artwork's been displayed, or how it's been illustrated. But your most famous piece of artwork is that of Mother Yashoda running after baby Krishna.
Yeah.
Just and what a contribution that is to Lord Chaitanya's movement.
I did 3 Mother Yashodas, but the other ones are not as good. So I see how Srila Prabhupada empowers us, it's just amazing. So yeah, I was totally doing that for Srila Prabhupada, and just came out. And I was very, very surprised, actually, when I came to India in the 70s, that all the shops had, cassette tapes and CDs and what with my picture on it.
Wow.
With the picture of running your Krishna. It's like, oh no. I was totally befuddled. And then I was thinking, oh, I guess they don't have any notion of copyrights here. You can't do about it. So, yeah.
So, I mean, that is quite amazing. I know you're being incredibly humble now, but that is quite amazing for your artwork to be displayed all over the Hare Krishna world in thousands and millions of books. I mean, how does that make you feel to have been able to make that contribution to Lord Chaitanya's movement, to his mission?
I still feel good about it because I'm still doing it. I feel great about it, and I make sure to, keep my Krishna consciousness as lifelike as possible, because when your Krishna consciousness is dormant, it's just like you're not going anywhere, you're not doing much, So yeah, I have been practicing very seriously. I'm actually in the renounce order. I mean, women don't take sannyas, so I'm not a sannyas, obviously. But I am wearing white in Vrindavan. So I'm one of those widows. And I don't shave my head because I think it's silly. So, but, yeah.
Can I just I want to ask. I'm going to be devil's advocate for a moment. Why you say that you don't take sannyas, but some mats do allow women to take sannyas.
Yeah,
Is
but
that
not in our pampa, actually in our line, not really. I mean, I know that with his name allowed a few sannyasi women.
Maharani, Jay Bhakti Maharani? She's in
Yeah,
California.
yeah. I mean, it's okay. It's just that, okay, I have a lot to say actually about women sannyas and all that stuff. So should I do it now?
I mean, if you want to, I was just going to say there's also another mat based in New Delhi that is run by sannyasinis. I've forgotten the name. Sri Prapanana Ashram. Sri Prapana Ashram.
Yeah, I know that.
But I'm aware that the kind of renounced order of life can mean different things to different people, and also women wearing white.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in my opinion, my personal opinion, it's kind of the same as saffron. It's not the dress that's important; it's what it symbolizes, what it represents. Yeah.
Exactly. So you have to be, the dress. Oh, you feel, oh yeah, I am dressed, whatever. But if your consciousness is not like that, then you just, you just don't project the right thing, and you can't help others. And you're there to help, actually, to help others.
So how long have you been in the renounced order of life?
About since 2013 or something like that, or 11. My husband left, and just I'm still talking to him. That's why I'm not a sannyasi,
That's useful, particularly if you've got children. I think,
but with somebody else, so it's I'm just totally feeling liberated that way, so free, to be able to practice Krishna consciousness freely. That's the idea.
I actually have loads of questions. I'm loving this conversation, by the way. I have loads of questions for you. One question I wasn't expecting to ask, what I'll say to the viewers at home is that I love meeting a guest that I know very little about, which means I'm equally surprised by the answers. And with Dhira Lalita, I didn't know much about her at all before today. You've mentioned, I love how in this conversation you've kind of dovetailed or steered away from the institution of ISKCON. You've talked about Srila Sridhar Maharaj in this conversation. You've talked about the Hare Krishna movement being bigger than ISKCON. So I'm making an assumption that over the last 50 years, you've not always been involved with ISKCON, and your own bhakti has taken you down different paths, maybe. Is that a correct assumption to make?
The same path. It's just not in the institution.
Yeah.
The institution is institutionalized. Actually, Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur says something very interesting about that, which I would love to quote.
Yes, please, please.
Okay. The younger generation, no, that's not it. Okay. Oh God. No, I don't have it.
It's okay. It's okay. You feel free to take your time to look, just to feel the viewers in it.
Anyway, he's just saying that once the guru leaves, the mat or the mats become institutions. They are institutions. The institution start to change, and it becomes something else. It becomes an institution. And to actually continue your spiritual, you can't just limit yourself to the institution. So I'm still part of the institution because I'm a Prabhupada disciple, but formally, no, but I am in the same path that the other devotees in ISKCON, obviously, and I'm always talking to them, and
In terms of your paintings now, your artwork now, are you producing any new work for the institution of ISKCON?
No, they have, they have rejected me in a sense. So it's like, okay, nothing has been corrected on that. And they did call me for a meeting of art, an art meeting in Los Angeles in 2018 or something. And I went, and nothing came out of that. So,
And why have they rejected you?
Because I don't know. It's just, I'm sure I was tired of paying for my bills, I guess. I don't know.
Trying to get someone to do it for free.
Yeah, I had a tentative deal, which was high actually, and I think he just decided, okay, that's enough with her. Let's trash her.
That's so sad. That's incredibly sad.
They do. They don't have any heart actually most of the time.
Yeah.
I like to say that, and he just served for years in there, and he just tell you, okay, get out. And I'm not the only one. That's true. They did that for a lot of Prabhupada disciples. A lot of them.
I meet and
It's not that they were falling down; they were in good standing. So but they were bothered because they wanted to have their disciples free of any other interference.
Yeah, I've met a lot of Prabhupada disciples that have been pushed to the side, or silenced, or the institution has tried to silence them, which is incredibly sad. Particularly the lifetime commitment that so many Prabhupada disciples have made.
We can contribute a lot, actually. We can. Without being part, we are part, in a sense. We can actually contribute a lot,
Has your path ever crossed, have you ever crossed paths with Jadharani, also known as Shamarani?
Yeah, Shamarani, yes, certainly, yeah. But I don't adhere to a path, she chose Narayan Maharaj, and I didn't,
because your stories are a little bit similar. You're a little bit similar. I mean, you're both Prabhupada disciples. You both took Diksha from Prabhupada.
And we worked together for years.
Yes, you're both artists, possibly around the same age, possibly.
No, actually, she's a little older than me.
Yeah, she is a bit older, but you wouldn't think it. She's incredibly youthful. Like yourself, you're incredibly youthful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, well, yeah. I just wondered. I was thinking of Shamarani about 10 minutes ago, because she also, didn't she, provided artwork for various ISKCON publications?
She did, yeah, and and Vrindavan Vilasini too. Actually, Vrindavan Vilasini is not an artist, but she also got banished in a sense because she's with Narayana. So, and she's a very incredible devotee. Actually, Vrindavan Vilasini has distributed books all her life. Yeah, Shamarani is still preaching. She has disciples, actually. She does, as far as I understand, and it's maybe not even formal, but yeah.
I have interviewed one of her disciples. It was probably about a year ago, I think. She does take disciples. So in terms of your paintings now, your artwork, are there any particular paintings that you're painting, and who are you producing paintings for at the moment?
Yeah, I am producing. The last painting I produced was Lord Chaitanya dancing with his associates in front of Jagannath Puri temple. So it's on my Facebook page actually right now. And then this is for the book of the Holy Name. It's a book that they are producing in my group, and it's the Holy Name according to Srila Maharaj actually. And I'm doing a second one with the pastimes of Radha Krishna, because the holy name descends from both sections, you know. So we're going to use those two paintings, and, you know, they'll take those paintings and they'll just take parts of it possibly and illustrate, you know, what they have online or, you know, stuff like that. So yeah,
that's amazing. And does painting
yeah.
does painting keep you busy full time?
Yeah, I like to do that. Yeah, I like to do that. And I like, you know, I like to share my thoughts too, you know, and yeah.
Which is what you're doing today, on this podcast. You spend now you're in Washington State in the United States, and you spend quite a bit of time each year in India, I understand.
Well, I'm going back, you know, as I can over there, because I have been permanently there, and I got really sick, so I lost my visa, so I had to reapply for the visa. And I was here for over a year. I was really sick, and I'm better. So yeah, India is very tough, you know, especially Vrindavan is very hard. It's you know, it's a difficult place to be, you know, physically, you know, very difficult, very taxing.
Yeah, I have been to India a few times, particularly Vrindavan, and it's certainly very taxing, and it's certainly quite difficult in many senses, particularly for someone who wears glasses. Because of the monkeys.
Yeah.
I'm being comical now, but it's not the last time, but the last time before I was in Vrindavan, I had my glasses stolen and scratched. These ones, when I went last time, I hid them and just I'm quite blind without glasses, but I did hide them. So when you stay in India, you're in Vrindavan?
Yes, right now I am.
And you normally live there full time, and you just paint for different kind of temples, do you, or communities?
Yeah, I only been in Vrindavan for a couple of years. Before I was in South India at Govindji Gardens, which was Shripa Narasimha Maharaj's.
Oh yeah,
Narasimha Maharaj's ashram.
My goodness, what's the name of the mat? The Sri Chaitanya ashram.
Yeah, the mutt. It's called the mutt.
Yeah, I was listening to his talks many years ago before he left the planet. I wrote a book a couple of years ago about the history and diversity of Gaudiya Vaishnavism in Britain, and I did make contact with his mat. I actually was listening to him during the COVID pandemic, because I was at home a lot, so I was listening to him and I was very inspired by him. And I did make contact with one of his disciples just to talk about whether they had any representation in Britain, and they didn't. But I remember feeling
the disciple's name. Oh, you don't.
Giri Swami, Giri Raj.
Okay, yeah.
Giri Maharaj, who is British, I believe.
He's British. Yes, he's British. He's there. And my son is a brahmachari heading for sannyas, and he's serving Giri Maharaj. He's a Giri Maharaj's brahmachari servant.
Wow. So the Sri Chaitanya ashram, Matt, are you like I mean, words, this is semantics here. Are you officially a part of that, Matt?
Yeah. We actually contributed money to the ashram. We actually created that ashram in 1993, 4, something like that. We came with Narasimha Maharaj to the land. It was just a field, you know, and we camped in tents. We had nothing, you know, with like 3 kids.
Wow.
Myself and my husband, and and then we started that ashram. So the first was the construction of the deity room, you know, and the curtain hall, and then we built the kitchen and everything else.
Yeah, yeah.
It took a few, quite a while.
I
And
am
yeah.
familiar with this mat. I am familiar with this mat.
In a tent. I was cooking in a tent.
Wow, wow.
Every time I took apart, I had to wash it because there was cockroaches in it because it was in the tent in South India, Yeah.
Yeah. And Narasingha Maharaj, he left the planet a couple of years ago, I think, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was ill, but I remember he was doing this kind of protest where he was growing his beard.
Yeah.
Because of the book changes in ISKCON.
I know. The book changes are a real mistake. It's very dangerous actually to change the books. It's very dangerous because you can imagine, you think about it, like we keep on changing them and changing them and changing them, and you like in 100 years, what will be left of Srila Prabhupada?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't aware you were part of this, Matt, but I'm even more delighted that I'm interviewing you now. And just for our listeners and our viewers at home, we're talking about the Sri Chaitanya Ashram, which has a base in southern India. It was founded by Narasingha Maharaj, who's now passed away or left the planet, but he was certainly a very good speaker, very good teacher. And I remember being very inspired by him.
Prabhupada disciple, obviously.
Prabhupada disciple, and I think he founded the Sri Chaitanya Ashram in the 80s, possibly in the 1980s. There was a lot of, well, not a lot. There was a number of Prabhupada disciples that founded their own mats in the 80s because of a number of issues, particularly centered around ISKCON's behavior and the way it treated Sridhar Maharaj and other senior devotees. And there was kind of a trend in the 80s of a bit of an exodus.
Yeah, they could have had so much less trouble if they had listened to Sridhar Maharaj.
Somebody once told me that ISKCON's problems started or got really bad when they started to offend pure devotees.
Oh yeah, it's normal. I mean, you can imagine that, and I'm reading it when I was there. In Los Angeles, people just criticizing. I was thinking, this is Prabhupada's God brother. Even though I didn't know anything about him, this is Prabhupada, the God brother. How can you be so offensive in your speech about him? It's just, you can't do that. So I was already like, God, something is going on. This is terrible.
Yeah. It's, I think the way, my personal view is the way that ISKCON treated Sridhar Maharaj was an absolute crime. It's this, Prabhupada often referred to Sridhar Maharaj as his kind of Shiksha Guru, his senior godbrother.
Yes, he's Shiksha Guru. I mean, spent years together and instructed him and encouraged him. When he was in New York, Srila Prabhupada was feeling it's very difficult, he's starting a movement in New York by himself, in a foreign country. And he's just writing to Srila Maharaj, I think I'm going to give up. It's just like they're not responding, And the Srila Maharaj said, just stay there and die there if you have to. So what is that? Instruction, Shiksha.
Okay, let's talk a bit more about our kind of final question. Is you kind of, and you've kind of talked about it a bit already. What are your thoughts on the modern day Hare Krishna movement, and what can we do to attract more Western people?
Okay. Well, okay. You want people to come to your feast, right? And you have a totally messy house. The dogs are barking, there's poop everywhere, just spider webs hanging from the ceiling, and you're inviting them for a beautiful meal. What do you think? Who's going to come? They're coming, maybe, but then they're going to have such a bad opinion of you, right? That's what's happening, is that in ISKCON, it is a big mess. It has to be cleaned out. It's going to take some time. Even if they want to clean it, it's going to take some time. And most of the time, they don't care about cleaning it. But if they do want to clean it, it's going to take a long time. And so meanwhile, what do we do about the people who are outside waiting for us to get it together, right? Possibly, you could encourage worship at home, chanting at home, worship at home, and the philosophies through the books, you know. Don't allow them to join yet. It's a big mess right now. I mean, I know the gurus are making more disciples, so there'll be some people joining anyway. But we have to look, how qualified are we to teach those people? We have to get it together ourselves, to be right on top of it, you know, to just be pure, to make sure we don't deviate from Srila Prabhupada, you know. And what is it now? ISKCON is more like, it is an institution, and it's more like based on hierarchy, which is not Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is not based on hierarchy. Maybe, you know, you have to have some kind of organization, you know, for sure, because we are, you know, social people, and, you know, it's a big movement. But, you know, it's just, anyway, that's about all I have to say about that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just get your act together. Then you can invite people to come. But if your house is a mess, why would you want to give a bad impression? Your house is a mess. It's a big mess. We have to question again, you know, are we really following Srila Prabhupada? And the problem, the main problem with Srila Prabhupada disciples, or even other disciples, is that ISKCON has done in such a way that you cannot take shiksha from outside. It's like limiting yourself, like saying, Krishna, you're not able to give shiksha from outside, so therefore we just only accept what's inside. You know, we'd be safer that way. But it's really limiting the flow of mercy, of realization. And not that people should go to in a different sampradaya, no, or in different line, no. But there is many devotees who are, you know, together, you know, and then you can inquire from them. You can actually learn from them. It's not sinful to learn from them, because they are Prabhupada's followers also. They are following Srila Prabhupada. They're following Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. They're following Srila Prabhupada. Srila Bhaktivinoda. Read what they have to say. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, Srila Bhaktivinoda. They have so much to say. It's you open your mind completely. Don't be narrow. Don't limit Krishna. Krishna is going to be suffocating very soon in your ISKCON. You know? It's very simple, actually, in a sense. But to actually do something, it's very difficult. It's like, you know, you just already all messy, and cleaning the mess is no fun. But it has to be done. It has to be done. Otherwise, you're just going down the road to deviation completely, you know. And I'm not talking about 2 years, I'm talking about 100, you know. But yeah, for sure.
Are you worried about the future of the Hare Krishna movement?
No, I know that Krishna is in charge. You know, Krishna's mercy has come through Lord Chaitanya. Yeah, it will continue. It won't stop. His mercies continue. But don't miss it. Don't miss it because you want to be inside some box or something. Don't miss it, right? Follow the flow. Our parampara is not a diksha parampara, actually. It's shiksha parampara. You know, it is. So let's not be afraid of that. Let's us understand what is shiksha. If we don't understand what is shiksha, then we just like, oh, Prabhupada gave us everything. I can't go somewhere else. Oh my God. You know, it's very limiting. And Srila Prabhupada himself told us to go to Sri Maharaj. He did. If we have further questions. So if you are practicing Krishna consciousness, right? It's an unlimited progress. You won't stop progressing. You won't stop. Even when you're back home, you won't stop progressing. Unlimited. So why would you want to limit it? You know, don't limit it. Just go for it. Follow your heart. Follow the Maha Mantra. This is what the Maha Mantra is doing that. The Maha Mantra is the one who is actually building the temples. The Maha Mantra is the one who is instructing us. The Maha Mantra is the one who is appearing as Guru. You know, it's Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya, let's take advantage, you know, for the next 10,000 years or whatever.
Yeah. Well, Krishna, Krishna is limitless. You can't put God in a box.
No, you can't. Yeah, so you have to understand the philosophy, the Siddhanta, very well. So you don't, but at the same time, you don't want to be stuck, making no progress, just doing routine stuff. You want to progress, you know, to go on, to reach Krishna. That's the idea, is to reach Krishna, right? To develop prema. This is the goal, you know, love of God. And if we are in an institution and we have no love for our God brothers and God sisters, then there's something wrong, you know? If I am in charge of so many souls and I have no interest in them, there's something wrong, you know? There must be.
I agree with you 100%. You and I agree on pretty much everything, I think.
Let's be honest and fearless.
I mean, for me, it's about common human decency. You just be nice to people and respect people. You know, we're all created in the image of God, so to speak. And my grandmother, when I was a child, I wasn't raised a Hare Krishna devotee. We weren't actually raised anything really. I guess nominally Christian. And my grandmother, me and my brother used to argue a lot. And my grandmother used to say, Nathan, if you've got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. And that really stuck with me now in my adult life. If I have nothing nice to say, I just don't say anything. I'm not going to say anything bad. I'm not going to badmouth people. I'm just going to say nothing, you know. And that we just have to be nice and respectful to people. And if you can't do that, just don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
And the Hare Krishna movement is meant to be this wonderful, spiritual, peaceful, loving global community where we love and care for each other. And actually you join it and you find out it's not, you know, and it's all this infighting. It's just really off-putting, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, you have to be careful too who you fight with, you know. Are you actually fighting with a devotee? Yeah, it's like, you know, and one of the qualities of a devotee is to be peaceful and to not engage into fights, you know, and arguments, you know. And of course, it happens sometimes, but you have to relax and just,
Fantastic. Well, Dhira Lalita, we've been recording this podcast for about an hour.
Okay.
Believe it or not, you and I, you and I can talk more after if you want to. Okay. On this recording, is there anything else that you particularly want to share? Anything that's on your heart at all?
No, I don't think so. I think I talked about everything. I just did some.
I mean, there's so much wisdom that you could share. With us.
It's like,
I mean, 50 years in the Hare Krishna movement is quite a commitment.
Yes.
And I feel very honored to have been able to meet you today.
I actually, don't get discouraged. Don't give up. Ever. Even at your lowest time, just remember Krishna. Just be patient with yourself. You know, that's what I would say. You know, be patient. Krishna consciousness is not cheap. And you don't want it to be cheap. It's not cheap. Because where are you going? What are you going to do? Serve the Lord. It's like, wow. And where? In the highest planet possible. in the highest conception possible. So don't give up. Just be patient. We might be very far away or we might be very close, but don't give up. That's it.
Wow. Wow. Well, Dhira Lalita, it's been fantastic to interview you today for this podcast. I really appreciate you getting in touch all those weeks ago through the Hare Krishna Project website. It's been wonderful for me to interview you. I feel like you and I could talk for hours. You've got so much wisdom to share with the world. And I love that you're open-minded and you're inclusive and you're tolerant, a bit of a political term, you're tolerant, and you have this genuine desire, genuine passionate desire to share Krishna consciousness with the world. And I think that's wonderful. I can feel it through the internet, your desire to serve Prabhupada.
Thank you. Yeah,
it's wonderful. So stay on the line. Don't leave the Zoom room. Okay. I'm going to say goodbye to our viewers watching at home or wherever they watch this podcast, maybe Starbucks or somewhere, I don't know, or on the bus or on the train. So a huge thank you to Dhira Lalita, a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, for being the guest on this week's podcast. It's been wonderful to talk with her and hear her stories, and I love the fact she's from France. I love France. I feel like I was French in a previous life or something. I go to, those of you who follow me on social media, and I go to France 4 or 5 times a year. I absolutely love it. So a big thank you to Dhira Lalita for being our 136th guest on the Hare Krishna Project podcast. Do not forget, if you're watching this on YouTube, to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and if you're watching this on Facebook, to either like or follow the Hare Krishna Project Facebook page. Through both those means, you can be kept updated with future podcasts and lots of news from the Hare Krishna Project. And do not forget, we love to receive constructive feedback. I always love to hear from you. I try and respond to as many messages as possible. I can't respond to them all, but I really try. So if you have anything you want to say, hopefully positive, about this podcast, please do get in touch with your feedback. So until next week, I will see you all soon. Thank you. Hare Krishna.